Assalamu alaikum. Now my initial intention was not to do a tutorial or even a filming of this dress, but it has some good pointers which I want to point out, and for anyone who's actually learning to sew or is the experimenting type, then it's amazing what can be achieved with just a few ideas and a few suggestions to follow on to. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of I always feel pride when I actually make something out of nothing. It sort of gives me a little bit more of a buzz. We go out and we buy precisely to make garments, but when you've got like pieces of fabric and you can combine them and make something pretty, and you know, even if it's a couple of wears, or even if it's, for me it's more so ideas, and it's more so using up all the bits and pieces and so on. Now what I actually didn't show you was last week I made a suit of my own, and the combination of that suit was this fabric. This was the printed dress I had, and then I had a salwar that's sort of like this color, and this matching lace that I found lying around, and I used it as a combination to put together the full suit. So I used this on my own, and then from my dress I had the print fabric left over, and I also had some pieces of lace left over. And now I didn't feel like throwing, obviously it's linen fabric, it's beautiful, it's comfortable, and I know Inaya loves this kind of stuff. So I had the fabric left over, the pieces of fabric, and I had the lace left over, but unfortunately I had no fabric for the matching. And I had a bag of clothes that we were throwing away, and this was one of the dresses that I had probably made a while back. You may have even actually seen it in one of the videos. I think I made a patella salwar, and this was the combination of lace that I had actually initially used on that. Now I saw that in the bag for throwing away, and it matched the print fabric, so I took it out and I thought, right, okay, I've got pieces of this lying around, I've got the lace that matches perfectly, and rather than going out and buying the fabric for the matching, why don't I just cut this dress and make her a suit out of it? So that's exactly what I did. The main portion of the kameez I used to make the bottoms, which is just a straight-legged pajama or a trouser. And then the sleeves I cut up and I made this portion. The original neckline that was on Halima's dress, I cut into it, and I used the original neckline. I just slightly made it small. It was a square neckline which I've cut into, and I've just made it sort of size for her. And then I've used the pieces that were left over and I've combined it and laced it over on top, and this was the kalyan that the fabric was left out of. And then I've finished it off with, I only had this much fabric left for the sleeves. Now it's winter, it's still freezing cold, so I didn't want her arms fully exposed, so I've used pink net and then the little bit of lace that's left over and a little bit of color combination. So that's basically out of an old dress how I went and combined all those pieces to make this, and I am assuming that it will look very pretty on her. So even if she just wears it, so what it's done for me is, I don't know, it just gave me the pleasure of actually just stitching it up, and it's, you know, it looks like there's like a big patch here. I would even like it more if I had some like embroidered patch or something, and I would put that on over here. But anyway, the amount of time she's going to wear it, you know, with children, they wear the clothes the once or the twice or a couple of times. Now she's at school, it's mostly uniforms and stuff. I know a lot of people turn around and comment on the videos and so on that there's a lot of talking in the videos. I don't actually teach the sewing. To be honest, the amount of videos that I've done and the amount of sewing videos I've done are so numerous that I feel really bad when I do the same repeated stuff. But whenever I come, you know, across different ideas and different methods or different techniques, or notice something that needs addressing, then I normally generally work on that, and normally try and look into that. So you know, when I just the pleasure of actually sewing something which was completely useless actually makes me happy, because what you can learn from that is, if you experimented, you know, this can give you the ideas, and then perhaps you have got something. I know for our own sakes, what we do is we buy all these fancy outfits, especially for weddings and so on, and we wear them on occasions like weddings, and then they've actually outlived their usefulness, because you wear them the once and there's no real occasion to wear them again. And we don't really want to cut into them, but if you've got a young daughter, and girls love dressing up, it's always a good idea then to actually cut into them and, you know, make them into the younger ones. But if you've not got the experience, then you're going to have a problem, and you're going to have a bit of a heartache when you've got like £100 suit and you're cutting into it to make it for a younger one. But practice on something like this, then that will give you the experience to actually do that. So perhaps I'll give you a demonstration of what this looks like on Inaya when she comes around. I do hope that all of you experiment and go on to you know, give yourself the benefit of the doubt on making something like this. Now before I go, I'll show you just the kind of fabrics that you actually do get left over. I mean, this is one of the other dresses that I had actually stitched for myself, and generally when you buy, even when you buy like 2 meters of fabric, when you cut the sleeves out, you will have fabric like this left over from the sleeves. So a little bit of this has been left over from the length, and then this has been left over from the you know, I've cut the sleeves from here, so this has been left over. And now, if, you know, Inaya is growing up fast, and obviously it's very unlikely that this fabric is going to be used for anything else. But if you were going out, I mean, that's 1/4 yard, and on something like £4 a yard, that's just a pound of fabric. That's just I bought extra, you know, which I shouldn't have. 2 3/4 is generally more than enough, but I don't know whether I bought 2 1/2 or 2 1/4 or whatever. Anyway, that's and often when I buy fabrics like this, I do have it in mind that if I have it left over, I'll make something for Inaya. So you get pieces like this left over, and then often we've got, you know, the way the fashion is at the moment, you can actually combine all these to make you know, suits. I mean, from this one, I'd like to make her the you know, one of those other styles where the front is a slightly different color to the back. I'm going to try and get, perhaps the blue is a bit too dark. I would like to get this slightly almost like a grey blue color of the light, and perhaps even if I get hold of the blue, I don't know. When I get around to it, I'll make her, you know, a shirt dress out of this. But generally, this is the type of fabrics, pieces that I'm talking about, that you get left over. There's no use for them. And then, you know, even if you've got something like an old kameez and you can cut into it, like the fashion has changed so much that the kameez, you know, the short kameez, now they're out of fashion. And I always advise that rather than spending a fortune and getting yourself, you know, and giving your old ones to charity, if they're not good enough for you, then they're not good enough for charity. And I firmly believe that rather than spending the extra amount of money, give that to charity, which will benefit you far more. So experiment and you know, mess around and see what you can get, and do share your results with me. I am on Facebook, so you know, post your pictures on my Facebook or even on my Google page, and inshallah I will try and show you some of the results of what other members achieve.